Hello everyone, my name is Kyle Thiem with the National Weather Service office in Peachtree City. In lieu of our weekly weather briefing, this is a special weather briefing over Tropical Storm Nate for Thursday, October 5th, 2017. All right, well here's Tropical Storm Nate, currently getting ready to go over the peninsula of eastern Honduras and Nicaragua. It's projected to move past that peninsula, then go into the Caribbean again, make its way over the Yucatan Peninsula before making its way up to the CONUS. Right now it is a tropical storm, upgraded from a tropical depression as of 8 a.m. this Monday morning. Looking at a track from what we had yesterday, the forecast track had it going much further east than it does now. It was forecasted to go over the Big Bend of Florida, but now, as of this morning's update, we're starting to see a much more westerly track, comparatively now making landfall approximately in either Louisiana, Mississippi, or the Boot Hill of Alabama. As a low-end hurricane there on Sunday morning and making its way up into the southern Appalachia by 8 a.m. on Monday morning. This is great because it's going to help minimize some of the impacts that we're going to see in the Georgia area. However, we are still expecting wind gusts to be up to 40 miles per hour, especially for the far northwestern part of the state. Possibly up to 2 inches of rainfall, again, more likely up towards the north, but we could see locally higher amounts possible in those rain bands that tend to set up with these systems. And we're also going to have a possibility of tornadoes in some of those outer rain bands, but it is still a long ways out to start forecasting tornadoes, but the possibility is there. Looking at some of the wind speed probabilities, as we can see from this map from the National Hurricane Center, we do have about a 20% probability of seeing tropical storm force wind gusts in the far western part of the state. This is a decreasing trend as that track has shifted westward compared to what it was yesterday. We are still expecting the highest wind gusts to be along in northwest of that I-85 corridor and also in those higher elevations once you get up into the southern Appalachian Mountains. Looking at this graphic, you might recognize this also from the National Hurricane Center, looking at the earliest reasonable and the most likely time of arrival for tropical storm force winds. And we can also think of this as the earliest reasonable and most likely time to have the strongest wind gusts that we'll see with this system. Currently, for the earliest reasonable time that we could see the strongest wind gusts, we could see these as early Sunday morning. However, the most likely time we'll see these wind gusts are going to be that Sunday morning into Sunday evening time frame. This is a graphic of the maximum wind gusts that we have in our current forecast database for the north and central Georgia areas. Again, we're getting up into those 40 miles an hour wind gusts in the far northeastern part of the state, again, along and to the northwest of that I-85 corridor. This kind of drops off a little bit once we get into more central Georgia, but we're probably going to see more of a gradual transition with this. And again, this graphic is for early Monday. I'm sorry, this is more for early Monday into Monday evening. However, in those higher elevations, we can really see these stronger wind gusts approaching as early as Sunday evening. As for the expected storm total rainfall, we are expecting up to 2+ inches there in northern Georgia, more for the I-20 corridor, somewhere between 1 inch to 2, and then for central Georgia, upwards to 1 inch. However, depending on where some of these rain bands set up, especially those outer rain bands that can dump a lot of water pretty quickly, once we get a better idea of where those might set up, those values in those areas might increase by quite a bit. But until we really know where those are going to set up, and again, that's a long way from now, this is a general forecast of where we expect some of our heavier precipitation. And you'll note this mainly follows closer to the expected storm track. The closer you are to that storm track, the higher rain you're expecting to get. For the tornado potential, what we're really looking at, and it's a long way out to really be diagnosing tornado potential, but the wind profiles are there for tornado development, especially within these outer rain bands, which climatologically we tend to get with some of these tropical systems. And the rain band I'm talking about is setting up right here, somewhere along this stretch going up from central Florida into Georgia. We don't know exactly where that band is going to set up, but this far out, we would expect that wherever that band does set up, we do have an enhanced tornado potential. However, again, it is a long way out to be diagnosing that, but the potential is at least strong enough there to mention it this early. That main threat would be on Sunday as the tropical system makes landfall somewhere again in between Louisiana and Alabama. So just to summarize, Tropical Storm Nate's track has shifted further westward compared to yesterday's forecast, which is great for north and central Georgia area because it's really going to help reduce those impacts. Hazards most likely are going to include tropical storm force wind gusts up to 40 miles per hour possible, especially for that northwestern part of the state, again, along and northwest of that I-85 corridor. Up to 2 inches of rain is going to be possible, especially for northern Georgia. Depending on where these rain bands will eventually set up, we could see some locally higher amounts where those bands do set up. And again, a few tornadoes are also going to be possible in those outer rain bands, mainly on Sunday. Primarily, though, the impacts we'll see from this are going to occur early Sunday morning into Tuesday morning timeframes, where we're going to get most of the rain, most of the higher wind gusts. And that has been your what would have been the weekly weather briefing, but is now dominated by this tropical system. Any questions, feel free to reach out to us on social media or call our office with any questions. Once again, my name is Kyle Thiem, and this has been your special weekly weather briefing.